If you love fun and easy jewelry projects that you can complete with minimal tools and experience, then join me today at the MB Art Studio for a project share. I want to start off by saying that I am not a jewelry maker, but if any of you know who have been in the studio from the beginning, I like to work with all types of materials and different mediums. So I try a little bit of everything when the spirit hits. This project was born out of my 100-day project, which started as making charm dangles and bookmarks, but you'll see what we've evolved to and still going. So let's just start with a few of the basic tools that you'll need to complete any of the projects that I'm going to show here today. If you are going to make stretch bracelets, then you're going to need elastic. This is just a clear stretch elastic that I received in a bead order. Scissors to cut your elastic. If you're like me and you need a little bit of help, you'll need a beading needle. These can be found at Hobby Lobbies, Michael's, and online. It's a very thin needle. You probably can't see it, but it has a little hook on the end. That's where you hook your elastic, and you put the beads on the needle and then you slide them down. You can get one of these. It's like a little crimper that can hold the elastic as you're working. So this is completely optional, because if you're working in front of a table, you can actually tape the end of your elastic down and then put your beads on from there. I prefer to have my work kind of hanging in front of me because it's easier for me to see. So I use this and I clip this on the end, and then I start beading. So let's just look at some of my stretch bracelets that I've made so far. So this is a set that I've made for myself, and these are called Bodhi seeds. I had to jingle them because I like the noise that they made. So these are all natural seeds that come from the tree that the Buddha sat under once he got enlightened. Well, as he was gaining his enlightenment, I should say. And this one, as you can see, has a set of prayer hands on it, and then it's more of a natural color. This one is another natural color, more peach and a little lavender mixed in. Another all natural color with prayer hands. Here's another one with prayer hands and the lavender and natural. And then I have all these fun colorful ones. So two of these have like a rainbow motif. These are a lot of fun to make. And then these four are more of a bright and pastel. These are really fun. And again, this was just stringing the beads on to the elastic and tying. Putting a little nail polish or crazy glue at the end of that, super glue, whatever you want to call it, that could help too if you put that at the end of your knot. If you've watched the channel in the past, and you may have noticed that I always wear a lot of bracelets. I love bracelet and ring stacking. I wear a ton of bracelets. Now, the ones that I'm wearing today are actually not ones that I made. These were Alex and Ani bracelets, but they inspired the ones that I am about to show you next, what I've made. So, my bracelet making journey with the memory wire started with these. Now, before we get into the bracelets, let's talk about what you need to make memory wire bracelets. So first and foremost, you need memory wire. So this memory wire is actually sized for rings. And as you can see, I stretched some out a little bit because I was going to attempt to make myself another ring. However, every time I make the rings, they're a little bit too tight for me. Could be the type of memory wire that I'm using. So I'm not going to give up on that. I had a solution and I'll show you that's coming right up. The other thing you'll need if you want to make bracelets with memory wire is the larger size memory wire. That's for bracelets. So this one, I believe, is about 2¼ diameter. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to cut the length, however long you want your bracelet, with a pair of memory wire cutters. These are very important because I was told, well, as I found out from watching videos, actually, if you use your regular flush cutters or wire cutters, they will damage them. So you want to get a pair of these nippers. They have like jaws and they're very strong for cutting memory wire. The other thing that I got, and these aren't specialty tools, you can find these in your craft store or online, but I got this looper for the memory wire because I found it to be a lot stronger than my regular looper, and because it's the same diameter all the way down, your loops are always going to be consistent at the end of your memory wire. I used my regular needle nose pliers to kind of close my loops a little bit, and sometimes to just adjust them. So basic tools, again, memory wire, you can find this anywhere. So let's start with the first set in this project. Sorry, those got tangled. So this first little set was born from some seed beads that Ted and I had used for another project, and I had just a slight amount left, well, about the amount you'll see here and within another project, and it seemed like they were just not going down. I could not get rid of those beads for the life of me. So I decided to grab them and see what I could do with them, and this is what I came up with: a little dainty stack, the little bow. And on this one I added, try to get it to focus, a little flower dangle with one of the seed beads being the center. To add to that set, I made this one because some of them I felt like I made them a little bit too short to stay on my arm the way I felt secure. So this one I made it a little bit long, and I just used the wire to make an actual loop. So I felt a little bit more secure. And as you can see, this one has a little bit more black on it. And then the final one in the set was this sweet little one, but the dangles on each end, and the star charm actually goes this way. Sorry. So all three of these are a little set that I made to wear together. Then I made this one because I was trying to be a little bit more free and experimental with the supplies, and also I wanted to use some of the dangles that I had previously wrapped during my project. So when I say a little bit more free and experimental, it may not look like it, but I allow myself to kind of use this little thing in here, little spacer, and just experiment with not making a set pattern, but more so kind of picking up and grabbing whatever beads and putting them on. And then I use this cute little seashell glass charm in the middle. And as I got to the end, I ran out of the original beads, so I went and grabbed some other crystal beads with an AB finish to add a little bit more sparkle. So I really enjoyed making this one. Here's another one that I allowed myself to be a little bit more playful with. Hold on, let's get it adjusted. So it's seed beads. I did string these on or load them onto the wire all by hand, which we'll talk about something else with how to get your beads onto a wire in a second. But in this one I added a couple of different little spacers, these little heart spacers, dangles at the end, a butterfly. I love butterflies. Another little tiny gold spacer, and then this fun little feather dangle in the front. So with this one, I tried to add on as many little playful, dainty details as I could without making it like too much. So I encourage you to do that if you're a beginner and this is something that you're interested in doing. Try to add on as many little details to personalize it and make it all your own, which is, like I said, I got a little bit inspired from these that I owned previously, these Alex and Ani bracelets. And as you can see here, this has little spacers in between the beads, and it has the little hearts in between. This one has just the beads and the spacers, and then this one is just beads and spacers. But this one is just one of my favorites. You can get it in focus. It has angel wings in between the angel wings. It has those clear bicone crystals. And here's another one that was a gift, and it has a tassel charm attached to it, and then these little spacers and a mix of beads, and of course their signature charms at the end, which I love. So I wanted to make an all plain one just to see, and I have other colors of beads in this material, like a cat eye bead. So I'll continue this stack as I go. But I mean, this one is just a project that I might do in front of the TV, and you might consider doing it in front of the TV as well, because you're using one bead color, one bead size, and you're just stringing them on. You make your loop at the end of your wire after you cut it, and then you just continue to string on until you get to the other end and you make your loop. So this is something you can do as you're listening to an audiobook, TV, podcast, what have you, maybe even talking to someone. So that was a fun one to make because it was very low pressure. I want to move on to this set. Now, I absolutely love this set. I think it came out gorgeous. All of these beads and the dangles were made from a set of beads that was in this little bottle here. So I'm trying to see if I can show you the size of it there. So I was able to make this, what I'm calling a full stack of bracelets with that one little bottle, and the only thing I added was the little gold spacers and things. So I'll start with the very first one I made. So this is the first one that I made from that set. And as you can see, I wasn't being too, I guess, playful or free with this one. I was just kind of just getting the feel for it, getting the feel for how the beads worked, how they looked together. Although they already came in a set, so they were pretty much matched to go together to begin with, but it was still new to me, trying to kind of work with these beads. The only thing I added on these were, well, the only thing I added was these two dangles at each end. And I added this chain to add another dangle on the end. So that was number one in the set. That was what I started with. This one was number two in the set. And as you can see, I start to get a lot more playful, adding in all types of little dainty spacers to just add interest. I saw a girl's bracelet on TikTok, and she had added in all different like beads and textures, and I really like that. So I said, well, maybe I'll try to do something like that with my next one. And I added those little dangles and a little butterfly dangle. I love butterflies again. So pretty much any of my projects, whether they're paper projects, I mean jewelry project, any kind of project is going to have some type of butterfly on it. And then here's the third one, It's very similar to the second one. It wraps a little bit more. I was coming to the end of the beads, so I didn't want to try to make a new project, because then I would have had to mix the beads with something else. So I just made the bracelet a little bit longer to wrap around. And here's the dangles at the end, butterfly on this end. Try to get that to focus. The hamasa, I added the bead in the middle there. And again, this one I kind of let go a little bit more, added more of those spacers, but still kept it very like small and dainty. I can't wait to wear these all together. If you're liking the video so far, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what's been your favorite project so far. This was what I consider kind of a fail. Now, these were my last couple making, but I want to say I saw someone making memory wire bracelets with this contraption here, bead spinner. So I'll just take it apart, and you kind of put the beads in here, you put it on this stand, and you spin them, and the beads are supposed to kind of grab onto and travel up the wire. Well, she made 2 bracelets in 45 seconds. It took me 15 minutes to make this one bracelet. So there's definitely a learning curve with this. So after the 15 minutes, I stopped. I didn't add any dangles. I didn't try to do anything else. I had attempted to start it with this. After I got to maybe the 4th bead in, I gave up on the bead spinner and went back on through the bracelet by hand. Now, I mean, it's cute, it's colorful, that's what I was going for, but I don't really like it overall. So I'm actually going to take all the beads off of this and redo it. But the one thing that I did like on this was I put these 2 spacers that have the dangles at the end, the loop, so you can put the charms on, and then I added this heart jump ring that it can't come off the bracelet, it can only go between those 2. So I thought about adding more of these and just making it a full charm bracelet on that side, but I don't know if the memory wire be strong enough to hold it. So I have to kind of play with that for a little bit. But those were the bracelets. Oh, here's something. I made a little ring to match the other seed bead bracelets that are over here. And moving on, here's something that kind of played with beadables. So this is actually a package opener, not a pen. And I beaded it. I added these little what they call bead caps, which I do encourage you, if you're a beginner, don't be afraid to experiment with these bead caps. Add them to your projects. They look really good. They elevate the beads from being just plain to, they give it a little something, a little pizzazz. This is a little fuzzy bead in here, so I thought that was the pizzazz for that. And then all what you see hanging off the ends here are a bunch of different charm dangles that I had previously wrapped. And I went in my stash and found them, and I added this chain and then just added them on. And there's a little black teddy bear at the end. So moving on to my next project. So I said before that the ring, when I made the memory wire rings, they were a little bit too tight for me. So I took them and I wrapped them around the end of my coffee mugs, which gave me this result, which I thought was cute. And it's like a little cup dangle that you can add on your cup. So that would be nice to give to someone as a gift, and it'd be nice to just have at home. If you're like me and you like fancy little doodads hanging around everywhere, you like sparkly things. I'm like a dragon. I like to collect shiny, sparkly things. So if you like this kind of girly stuff and you really enjoy having a lot of little trinkets, just little touches, little dainty touches, then this might be a project for you. So like I said, I didn't give up on the memory wire for rings, but I just have to find a way to really make it work for me. The other thing I made is this cup charm. So my daughter gave me this cup for Christmas. I wanted to jazz it up a little bit. So I made this. I saw cup charms, people making them before, and they're hanging off the side, which I might make one that hangs off the side as well. But I said, maybe I'll make one like this. Hold on, I'm taking off the straw cover. So I also saw people with cup charms that loop around the straw, which is what gave me that idea. So again, another failed attempt at making the ring, but then I kept going with it and I kept adding to it. Added this length of dangles that I made so it could hang down the side of the cup. And try to get the dangle in focus. A crown shaped dangle, because my daughter's name is actually Princess, and since she gave me the cup, I wanted to kind of pay homage to her with that. So, I mean, if you've liked these bracelets, this project share, I should say, then please let me know in the comments. Let me know what your favorite one was. If you need to go back and rewatch it again or rewatch parts so you can see exactly which ones kind of caught your eye, let me know. If you're a jewelry maker and you have some hints and tips and tricks for me, let me know that too. If you're a beginner like me, you just like to play around with things, let me know, because I'd love to have you along this journey with me as I'm now exploring this realm, this realm of making. And I think that we can have fun here together. So until next time, from the MB Art Studio, I like to say goodbye.